I'm Drew Coles.
I'm Erin Coles.
And this is Met Player Monday. And today we'll be discussing a role that is unique to the Metropolitan Players called the Wedding Band Coordinator. And what the Wedding Band Coordinator does is they act as a liaison between the band who's performing and anyone else who's there, whether that be you as the client or the venue, the photographers, the caterers if they're separate from the venue, anybody who's there. This person will act as a point person, and they'll also actually run sound for the band the night of the wedding. And that's one thing that you might want to ask your band when you're as you're working on a contract with the band. You might want to ask the band that you're planning on working with if they have another person there who's going to at least run sound. And beyond that running sound, if they have another person there who's going to be able to help coordinate certain events like special dances, or be able to alert the couple when the venue's bringing out the cake, or vice versa, if you would like to cut the cake and we can't quite find venue contact at that particular moment, this would be a person who would step in and help. And in some cases, in our group, we've also actually guided the couple in cutting the cake as well. Though that's certainly not in our contracts, we're always willing to step in. And every single one of our coordinators is trained to step in if we need to in any instance.
So once you book the Metropolitan Players, you'll be working with me up until about a month before your wedding, at which point I will introduce you to your coordinator. And that coordinator will be your point of contact a month before your wedding, and will be there the day of your wedding as well, so you know exactly who's going to be there. Before your wedding, that month ahead of time, what we're doing is we're working on putting a timeline together with you. So we'll coordinate that with your venue and with you and your preferences. And that band timeline is specifically for the band to use the day of to make sure that everything runs smoothly. So we'll go through everything with you, including speeches that are happening, when cake cutting's happening, parent dances, first dance, intros, everything. We're going to make sure everything is in there, including our breaks, which we stagger for our musicians. So we'll make sure that everything makes sense and that the flow of the night is really going to be perfect for you and what your preferences are. And that's what you'll work on with the coordinator. You'll also confirm any last minute song choices and details. And then the day of, that coordinator, like Drew said before, will be there to make sure that everything runs smoothly.
And if you have seen any of our other videos about how important a timeline can be, you know that it structures the entire flow of the night. So what this person is there to do is essentially enact that plan. Mm-hmm. And as one of our entrepreneurial mentors, Julie Pimfler, would say, you need to plan the dive and then dive the plan. And that person is there to make sure that the dive goes well from beginning to end, because it's very hard to come back up for air. I love metaphors, but it's really hard to come back up for air once you're in the midst of an event. So it's great to go in with a great plan and a great person who is on site to enact that plan and work with everybody so that everyone knows what the plan is and where people should be going, where we should be putting resources. If some sets need to go longer because a button popped off of the back of the bride's dress or off of the front of the groom's jacket, all of these things have happened numerous times. So it's good to make sure that there's a person there just to make sure that everyone knows exactly what's happening.
And one example of something that we do as a coordinator is that we also want to make sure that the person is in the room if they're about to do something special. Like if there's a parent dance, if there's a speech, we're not going to just announce it and then wait for somebody to come up. We want to make sure that, like, okay, if the cake cutting is about to happen, that the groom is not in the bathroom and that he didn't run out for a second. Mm-hmm. So we want to make sure that when we actually move forward with something, that everyone who's involved in that moment is actually present. So that's something that's really special about having a coordinator, is that we make sure that everybody's there and that the things are running smoothly throughout the night, so that you never have a moment where we're just waiting for somebody to arrive.
A lot of these things sound like they would be something that you'd be able to manage on your own. But anyone who has been married will tell you that the day of the wedding, your attention is split in so many different directions. There's no way that a bride or a groom could possibly deal with all of these facets of their wedding. I mean, that's a recipe for a meltdown. So the reason why we have this person there is to alleviate that stress away from the client, so that you can actually enjoy the day, enjoy the memories that you're making, enjoy the sight of each other's faces.
And that's why we take so much time with you before your wedding and make sure that you are in contact with your coordinator, so that we have a clear idea of what's going on, and that so we understand your preferences as a couple. So we can kind of take it and run with it the day of your wedding, along with your other vendors The vendor team is really going to make a huge difference in making sure that all of your preferences have been taken care of ahead so you can just enjoy your wedding day and not worry about a thing.
So just to clarify, this person is not a full-on wedding planner and wedding coordinator who's going to be setting out your menus and lighting candles and placing pillars and vases. It's not that type of a person. This person is specifically assigned to the band to make sure that the band can perform the best that they possibly can and facilitate the best flow of the evening that they possibly can. So one really integral part of what this person does is they'll meet with the couple and the couple's wedding party, if they have one, right before they walk into the reception hall. So right before they do that, they'll talk about how to pronounce everyone's names, the order in which people walk out, what they do when they walk out, just to clarify all of those things. And then they'll do that with actually one of the vocalists in the group who's going to be doing the announcing. And then those two will come back to the band right before they come in. All this while, the band is actually playing introductory music for the wedding guests to be coming into the hall. After those two from our group come back to the group, they'll relay the rest of the message to the group so that everyone's on the same page. And then within moments, we'll start the introductory song, which for now, let's just say is Juice by Lizzo. So we'll immediately transition from the light introductory music that we were playing before to Juice, play Juice, and then run the introductions, typically going back and forth between the chorus of the song and the spoken introduction of who's walking in with the names correctly pronounced.
Another great thing about having a coordinator is that that person is always on the side of the band by the soundboard. So any requests that your guests have throughout the night or any things that need to be announced that the venue needs you to announce, they can go directly to the coordinator, which is really cool because in most other groups what will happen is that somebody will try to communicate with a vocalist who's in the middle of singing a song or someone who's playing something, and it's really difficult to not only receive that message if a musician is currently playing, but also to disseminate that message to the rest of the band. So having that coordinator there is really helpful to take in all of those pieces of information and get that to the band so that everyone knows what's going on and that those announcements can be made or those requests can actually happen if the band knows the songs. So we make sure that nobody in the band is disrupted and that the music can be really perfect straight through and someone's taking care of all those little requests that come in.
I mean, that was really helpful in the wedding that we just did maybe 2 weeks ago because there were a bunch of photographs needed to be taken on the dance floor in between the other events. So we're doing like special dances, then the cake cutting, then we're doing an anniversary dance, and then after that we needed to do photos for Princeton, then photos for Fordham, then some family photos, then everyone at midnight, because this was actually New Year's Eve that we were playing this particular wedding. So it really helped to have a coordinator on the side of the band just to make sure that all of our ducks were in a row. We weren't stopping the flow of the night while also getting the clients and their family onto the dance floor so they could take this picture. Because we never want a disruption in the wonderful joy that's happening on the dance floor. We never want a disruption there. So we'd like to reiterate our advice to you to check in with the band that you're thinking about using for your wedding to see if they have an additional person there to at least run sound, but then if they have a person to do that, if that person will act as liaison between you, the venue, the photographer, and everyone else on the day of the wedding to make sure that things go smoothly.
We are just as invested as you are in making sure that your wedding day runs smoothly and is as stress-free as possible. And so having this coordinator there is one of the main reasons we can ensure that that happens.
In conclusion, there was something in there. There was something funky in there. Ah! Fair?
Yeah.
Great.
Okay. Oh, you know what we didn't say is that, like...
Okay. Sort of like haphazard, but I got the point across. Right?
Yeah.
And just to clarify, no. Pull strings like a puppeteer. You know what I mean? I just skipped a syllable. We'll
There's
do it in post.
So that you can become familiar with this person and have the
You can just like touch my leg if you want to start talking. Otherwise, I'll just talk.
I'm just kidding. I sometimes touch your leg anyway.
Don't.
But, alright, I'll be better.
That's the signal.
I'll do that. Make it a little different.
Okay, here we go.
Alright,
Indeed.
closing out.